Peep rotation. There's nothing more frustrating than pulling your bow back on a nice buck only to not be able to see your pins clearly because your peep is rotated. This is something that I've personally experienced in the field and know Chris and Rick both have as well. In order to reduce this risk, we only pick high quality bowstrings to put on our bows. That is why this season we have partnered up with Hooked Up Bowstrings. If you are looking for a high quality string to help get you through the season, look no further than Hooked Up. Matt, the owner, is a fantastic guy. He is an accomplished competition archer and an accomplished hunter in the woods. You can visit his website at hookedupbowstrings.com. Use the code MOBILEHUNTER10. That's Mobile Hunter, the number 10, in order to get 10% off your order.
Hey guys, Rick here from the Mobile Hunter Podcast, and I'm here to tell you about one of our sponsors, Sadie's LLC, Custom Ammunition and Gun Works. Aaron Satterfield and his family have been turning out some awesome game loads that have been putting down deer, waterfowl, and turkey all year long. The Sadie's Fatty, the turkey load that we use, can stop a bird dead in its tracks. Check them out at saddiesllc.com. That's SATTIES LLC.com, or on Facebook at Saddies LLC, and tell them the Mobile Hunter Podcast sent you.
Welcome to the Mobile Hunter Podcast. Our mission is simple. We want to help you become a better hunter. We believe that mobility kills and efficiency will set you free.
Happy Wednesday, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Wild Calling Wednesday. And today I've got on Tom Truskowski, and aka Tommy T of the Hunting Factor. And Tom has got a really, really wild story here today. It's one about some hunter harassment, to say the very, very least. Somewhere where we could really take a lot as public land hunters. We can take a lot of lessons from the story. Tom, how are you doing today?
Pretty good. How are you doing, Jacob?
Good. Awesome. I'm doing great. I'm a little bit sick, so you might hear me cut myself out, mute a little bit, maybe accidentally cough or sniffle into the mic here, but hoping that this is one of two podcasts for me today. I've got one with the Mobile Hunter later, but I'm really hoping I'm not sniffling too much and ruining the audio here.
Drink some honey and lemon.
Right, yeah. I got a lot of hydrating to do for sure. I've been too sick to eat today, and that's not good. So I'm feeling pretty weak, but I'm probably going to take a shot of honey right away after this to make sure I get a little bit of energy and try to choke something down. But anyways, enough of me being gross and sick. Tom, give a little bit of an intro of yourself. I know you've put out quite a bit of videos on the Hunting Factor. You got videos in Ohio. You've got all sorts of stuff with Michigan, where you're at in your home state. But kind of describe yourself a little bit and a little bit of your history.
Well, I'm 51. Been hunting for a long time. I hunt mostly public land in Michigan, my home state, and I started my YouTube channel about 8 months ago. Mm-hmm. It's not doing too bad. Just wanted to have fun with it, since I see a lot of things. I thought I'd start filming them, and
and you've got some videos that are doing pretty well from what I've seen too, and it's cool. I mean, it's just about getting out there and sharing your experience, really. It's kind of how YouTube started for me. Is just I enjoyed recording it. I enjoyed showing it to my family. And, obviously we met at, you and I know, but the audience doesn't, we met at a hunting beast scout camp, marsh scout camp. And
yep.
that was a really, obviously those are always a great event, but it was cool to sit down and talk after that. I mean, we talked afterward. We had like a lunch jambalaya or something like that. It was either jambalaya or stew. And we were having lunch and we talked a bit. You showed me some trail camera photos, some videos and stuff, and it was pretty cool. And so we recently reconnected at the Mobile Hunters Expo in Kalamazoo, Michigan. Yep. And you told me your story before, but you wrote down some talking points, and I got to have you on. We got to tell this story to the viewers, man.
Yeah, this story will set a good example for anyone out there that may experience this. I think it's a good story to be told. Just an eye-opening. I mean, this happened around 2015, so I was 42 years old at the time.
Okay.
But this was before like the mobile hunting and stuff that we do now. Mm-hmm. And public land, like I said, and I discovered this area away from because I hunted in a group with my dad's friends in a deer camp and everything. That's kind of where this is where I started hunting, where I learned it and everything. So it was like I kind of found a spot away from the group, if you want to say that.
Yeah, that's
So
kind of the key to mobile hunting too. Is just getting
right,
away from where all the people are.
yep. And I threw this camera up, and I start. This is when cameras were actually starting to get better, because the wild game innovations were the first cameras I've had. I still have them actually,
Nice.
and I started getting pictures of these big bucks coming through. And this area was actually close to the road. It was kind of a typical overlooked spot. So I went over there, hunted a few times, never saw anybody. And there was like this little makeshift ground blind hole. Never even thought. I think one time I went out there on opening day of firearm season, I seen somebody sitting there with a flashlight, and I walked right past them.
Hmm.
And like I said, I've got a long history with this area, the whole general area. And that particular spot, I think I shot maybe 4 deer out of,
Okay. Yeah.
and and I think 2 bucks and 2 does.
Yeah, and at the same time, like you're in an area that's right by the parking lot. Like you think about a bed as a hub, right? The parking lot's a hub for humans. The
Mhm.
closer you are to that parking lot, the harder it's going to be to avoid crossing whoever's around there.
Right. So I have hunted this spot, unknowing that this person was also hunting it
Mm.
in the same, like within 100 yards, or it might have been less. But I go out there one morning to check my camera, and I see this note on my climbing sticks in a plastic bag,
Hmm.
and I'm, what the heck is this? You know, and I look at the note, and it said, just because you have a tree stand doesn't mean that the ground blind doesn't count, and that you walk by, and it goes on to say, my dad said let it go last year, but now he's gone, so I've got time to f with you. And I'm like, what the heck? I mean, this was all typed out and everything.
Yeah.
And it goes on to say, I'm not finished with you. I now hunt on such and such street, silver Chevy, if you want your camera back. And then he, says happy hunting, mother effort, and I was like, what in the heck?
Jeez.
I'm like, you gotta
It's
be
wild.
kidding me. And I'm like, I've never even met this guy.
Yeah.
I've seen that light that one time. I mean, my name and address was on the stick, because
Wow.
in Michigan you're supposed to put your name and address on your stand if you're going to leave a stand up, and it has to be visible from the ground. And it was on the
Oh,
stick, name, address, and phone number. So he could have called me and said, "Hey,
right.
but it,
So he chose not to have a discussion. He rather
right,
chose to
yeah, he
literally
just,
type out, print, and put in a bag a letter to
yeah,
harass you.
a threatening note." Because when I read that, I was like, and instantly I started looking around.
Mm-hmm.
And I look at my bait pile, and there's 2 cans of oil, or 3 cans of oil, like cut with a knife, spilled all over the place, and my trail camera was gone.
It's like, what's the use of the oil? I mean, to me, it ruins a bait pile, right? But it kills all the grass and the nutrients, poisons any deer that decide to eat
Right.
out of it if they do. I mean, I don't think they necessarily would at that point, but like, dude, what do you? I mean,
I,
that's so weird. And to think, I mean, to get a little bit of background on your history with this spot, I guess. So we can call this guy an ass, straight up. Well, we get a little background here, but so you've been hunting this spot. You said you've killed 4 deer out of this particular spot in general, and you've been hunting this property for a long, long time since you
yeah,
were 12. You said so. That's been 30 years at this point.
yeah.
And so are you routinely accessing past this ground blind, or is it something that you occasionally would cross? Or I mean, and it's built out of sticks, right? Like it's
It it was like a foxhole.
okay.
I
Yeah,
I
yeah.
walked past it, every time to the stand, but it really looked like it wasn't hunted very much. Like it was never
Right.
cleaned out. I think he was just a gun hunter
Mm-hmm. That's
because
what I thought. When I see foxholes like that, I think gun hunter. Like you're not gonna. It's kind of it's disadvantageous as a bow hunter to be lower, to have
Mhm.
your bottom cam like hidden. I can get it if you put like a roof on the dang thing or something, but I mean that's kind of, I don't know. That's exactly what I think. Were you bow hunting this a lot, or were you strictly gun hunting it, or?
I was bow hunting it, and then I gun hunted it, and I
Mm-hmm.
shot a deer out of there gun hunting.
Nice.
And the thing is, uh, that's illegal to build a ground blind like a
Oh
foxhole.
yeah.
Probably pretty much in any state. I know it is in
Mm-hmm.
Michigan, but yeah, I was in shock. So I contemplated what to do. So I called my dad, and he's like, "You better call the DNR because this guy is, you don't know what he's going to do." So I'm like kind of freaking out, and I'm like, well, I called the DNR and I talked to the lady on the phone, and she said, okay, I'll give the message to the officer and he'll
Mm-hmm.
call you, blah blah blah. And I thought he ain't gonna call, and it's gonna be a couple days or whatever. And I thought, you know what, I'm just gonna go get my stand down in case this guy sabotages it more. Because if I wait to go and then go get it down, he might cut one of the straps or something, and I might fall or whatever. So I just
Yeah.
took it down. And I had a feeder out there too, a corn feeder, but that
Mm-hmm.
wasn't illegal at the time. That was, baiting was allowed, and this feeder only dispensed 2 gallons at a time. But there's a
Yeah.
catch to that, and when we get more into the story. But I took it all down, and the DNR officer called me that day, and he's like, "Where did this happen? I'm going to meet you out there, and you can walk me back there and show me exactly what is there." And that, he met me out there. We walked out there, and he already knew the story pretty much. And then I
Mm-hmm.
told him, this is I showed him my spot, and he's looking around, sees the oil cans, and doesn't see the camera or the stand. And he starts questioning me. He's like, well, why did you take your stand down? I mean, where's your camera? I mean, it looks like there's an awful lot of bait here. And I told him, I said, hey, I had a feeder here. I think he dumped it out, and he poured it. I told him, I was honest and said, hey, I took that stand down because that was threatening to me. I don't know what this guy is going to do, and he stole the
Right.
camera. That's right in the know. So he's like, okay. So he agreed with me. Didn't charge me with anything. So,
Mm-hmm.
and so he took the oil cans, and he kept the note, and he said he's going to look for the vehicle and the description on the street that he wrote. And he
So
was,
so how far from this blind was this bait pile?
I'd say at least 80 yards, if
Okay,
not
I got you.
100.
Yeah. So you got a
Just
good distance. There's plenty of cover in between you, I guess.
oh yeah, there was a hill. I mean, he was on top of this hill, and I was on the other ridge.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So you
So
might even be further than that. Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean,
right,
to me, that's different spots entirely. I mean, in marsh country, 80 yards is like a mile. In the hills, it's you could be in completely different edge or anything like that.
right.
And at the same time, you think it's a gun hunter too. So it's like, what are you going to do? But
Right.
I get the DNR questioning you. It sucks, but it's probably part of their job to make sure that you can recite the story and tell it as you told it before. And they're on the scene. They want to make sure everything's on the up and up.
Hey guys, Rick here from the Mobile Hunter Podcast, and I'm here to tell you about one of our sponsors, Sadie's LLC, Custom Ammunition and Gun Works. Aaron Satterfield and his family have been turning out some awesome game loads that have been putting down deer, waterfowl, and turkey all year long. The Sadie's Fatty, the turkey load that we use, can stop a bird dead in its tracks. Check them out at sattiesllc.com. That's SATTIES LLC.com, or on Facebook at Satties LLC, and tell them the Mobile Hunter podcast sent you.
Make sure everything's on the up and up.
And the thing is, it's like, well, why would I make this up? What do I have
Right.
to get? I mean, it's not like I'm going to get an award for turning somebody in that they can't find.
Yeah, and they might be worried that you're trying to get another hunter out of the area, I guess. But I mean, it's still an illegal set. Like it's pretty justified at this point. I mean, even if he didn't do all these charades and stuff. But was there a regulation at this time at how much bait you could have out per day or something? Or
Yeah, there was. It was 2 gallons per day.
okay, yeah,
And the feeder I had, it was called an outpost, I think. It was shaped. It was in a what do you call it? Like a PVC pipe, and the feeder
Okay.
was. You could put 20 gallons in it, but it was really concealable. You could sling up a cable over a branch in a tree and then bring it up. So you stick it up high in the tree, and it had a feeder motor at the bottom. It didn't really work that great, but
yeah. Just so it's
don't wanna
like
try it
on a
out.
time scale, it's not going to go too much, you know.
That was the way I hunted. Back then I just shot whatever I saw. Basically, if it was a big doe, I shot a big doe. If it was a buck, I'd shoot a buck.
Yeah, that's the way a lot of people start.
Yep. I mean, yeah. He said he was going to run the barcodes too off the oil cans to see if anybody paid with them with a debit card or credit
That's a
card.
good idea.
Track it. And then he also said, like, if I had to, I might have to go to court, testify.
Mhm.
Yeah,
that kind of harassment's pretty severe when they know where you live and your phone number and name and everything, and damage to property already. Theft's already not great, but that kind of level of threat with the littering and the pollution and all that crap.
Yeah.
I mean, that's getting pretty serious.
yeah. I was devastated by it. I could not believe it. I've been hunting up there for that long and never had any problems with anyone. I've talked to other things. It's just this guy. I don't know.
Yeah. So how did this affect like your outlook on the property? Like, what did you think? Like, do you think I can't hunt here anymore? Do you think if this guy sees my truck around, like, I'm gonna get my tires slashed or something? It's kind of odd that he gave you the description of his vehicle too. I mean, that was dumb, but I guess he seems like a dumb person to me that he would do this in the first place.
Well, yeah, I just avoided that area because there was another overlooked spot just the next block of woods over. So it actually turned out better because I got no, it didn't. I shot a buck there, but I couldn't find him. But
Well, you got an opportunity at a good buck, so that's good.
in the general area, it got pretty good. In other spots, I ended up getting one of my biggest bucks out there. So
Nice.
in hindsight, it worked out for me. I just avoided that area the whole time. I haven't been out there in that particular spot since 2019, but
Gotcha.
I still go in like in the general area looking around for sign just to see if there's any. It kind of dried up though. I mean, it gets overhunted a lot.
Yeah. I mean, if there's guys digging ground blinds and putting oil cans down, I'd figure a lot of people would know about it if a guy that dense did.
Right. Well, that's probably not now, but this was, like I said, 2015, so it's quite a while ago. And
yeah,
the thing
mobile hunting phase isn't really in at all,
Yeah, the thing is, the DNR officer told me that this guy did major illegal. I mean, he littered, he dug the hole, he stole my camera, and he left a threatening note. So he broke the law 4 times.
Yeah, and that's pretty severe stuff too. I mean, I just the part that really gets me. Obviously, it's horrible that he threatened you. We shouldn't be doing this crap to each other as hunters. I mean, you could have taken a I mean, you could have taken a shit on his blind, and
Oh yeah.
you, like you could have done that, and that wouldn't merit the response. Like, what do you gain from polluting the environment? I mean, oil. I mean, all of us have probably tried to change our oil at some point, and
Right.
I did the other day, and I had I had to hit the oil container and just splash out a little bit right onto the grass, and it's killed the grass completely, and it's been dead for a long time now, despite all this freaking rain that we're having here in southeastern Wisconsin this year. And I can't imagine deliberately pouring oil, over an area, how long that kills that off for. That's awful.
Well, that whole experience, and then finding Dan's channel, the Hunting Beast and Hunting Public, and all those other channels that started doing the mobile thing really opened my eyes, and I thought, this guy is never going to find out where I'm hunting ever again now.
Yeah. Yeah, it seemed like from what we talked about too at the workshop, like you'd been changing up how you hunt quite a bit, and
Oh yeah.
it was cool to see that you're evolving like pretty quickly, especially with it. I think you're branching out to other states. You're having a little more experience with other
Yep.
deer and stuff too, and you're killing some more stuff than it seems like you have been in the past. And so it's cool to see you grow and go from meeting someone at one of these workshops to following their story and as things go on.
Yeah, that's cool. I appreciate that.
Yeah, of course. So did you guys ever end up actually taking this to court or anything? Or like, what did end up coming of this?
Well, I never heard from the officer again, and I never called to follow up or anything. So I have no idea what happened to him.
Wow.
Mike
Yeah, I mean,
probably
unfortunately,
got
a lot of the time it seems like things just slip through the cracks. Like they don't find something out right away and they just let it go, or I don't know.
Yeah, I figure it was best to just avoid the whole situation. It's best to just stay out of there.
Hmm.
And I might go back there someday. Like I said, I always go in there and in the general
Yeah,
area.
I would scout my way and see if there's other hunter sign or something like that, and see if that ground blind's being used at all. And I'd definitely not go back during gun season because I still think he's probably using that most during gun season. But
Yeah,
I feel like those people I would just like to talk to and say, like, I kind of feel bad for them because it's like you have to ruin someone else's spot. You got to steal their crap. They feel like they have to do that to succeed, or
right.
they can't deal with some competition, or they're not man enough to just have a conversation, leave a more respectful, polite note. I feel like all those things are really, really easy to do, and I just don't get what happens in someone's mind that makes them think that, yep, that's definitely the best course of action is polluting the environment and stealing his shit.
They just don't think. I think they get so jealous that they feel like they have to do something to get even.
Mm-hmm.
You probably knew about the same buck or knew about the area and how good it was. I mean, he could watch the same ridge that I was on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I mean,
and it's interesting too. Like, I mean, people make mistakes too. Like, you could be 10 yards from that guy's setup and think he's not. I mean, there's plenty of times that guys have trees cut up and stuff, and you gotta, to an extent, when you're on Michigan public, you're on southeastern Wisconsin public, you're on like Pennsylvania public or whatever. You're in a highly populated area, like every state has. Every state has some public land that's in a high populated area that a lot of people hunt. I feel like when you're in those scenarios, like there's oftentimes in marshes around here that every tree that is anywhere within shooting distance of a trail is prepped. Like I went out this spring and scouted like 20 miles in a day, like absolute sun up, before sun up, all the way to after sundown. I was scouting, I was walking and covering a lot of distance. I was doing a lot of fast movement, trying to find a lot of different areas. And I came across, I think I counted it, and these are areas that I'm checking out that are off the wall, pretty far out, stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think I counted I think it was like 38 or 39 trees that were prepped. And that's a lot of limb damage right there. It's not like these were very close to each other. It was just like this spot, this spot, this spot. And everyone's hearing the same thing from Dan and the Hunting Beast and everything in the area. They're all getting the same advice. And so, you have to kind of evolve your mind to think differently now than the average Hunting Beast listener or the average bed hunter thinks, because all this advice is free. a lot of guys are very intense about hunting in my area, and you got to kind of evolve past that mindset. And never have I ever looked at one of those trees and been pissed off at the person. Like, I don't know what their story is. It's not legal to cut stuff. It's not legal to do that. But, like, I don't know if it's some kid getting out here for the first time and he doesn't know, or maybe he does know and he can't find another way to set up. You know, maybe it's some person after a big buck of their own, or it's an older guy that's having a hard time packing the stuff in, let alone climbing up through limbs, and he just wants to make sure that he's going to get that opportunity to shot. Now, it's not good to cut down trees and limbs and stuff on our natural resource lands, and it's not good at all. But at the same time, like, I'd be lying if I said I didn't trim branches every now and then when I was younger. You know, like when I was first getting out here, I didn't know about it. And even when I did, like, there's been times that I absolutely could not get the shot off if I didn't have, you know, this little pencil thin branch out of the way, and I'll cut that branch 90% of the time. And, you know, nowadays with filming and stuff, I try not to do a single thing at all. I'll move stuff out of the way. I'll try to tie it with paracord. You know, I keep like a little reusable thing of paracord so I can tie it out of my way for a hunt and then untie that rope when I'm done. But at the same time, like, even with all that being said, I never would damage someone's property or steal it or leave them a nasty note. I can't get through my head what those people think when they come across one of those scenarios.
My guess is that, like I said, this guy was probably young because that note was all typed out. So there was a thought process, and it really bothered him, obviously, because he typed it out and worded it the way he did. And I just think it's pure jealousy.
Yeah.
I don't know if that description of the vehicle really was his, but I would be curious to what really did happen. But
absolutely, yeah. I mean, hopefully he just matured and moved on. You know, like, there's stuff I'd done when I was younger. I'm still young, but like, there's stuff I did when I was younger that, you know, I was a little more hot-headed than I was. I hadn't had as much experience as I do in life in general. And, you know, there's plenty of stuff I look back on that I kind of regret and wish I didn't react so harshly. You know, I've never done anything to that extent. That's beyond my realm of understanding. But, you know, there's times I've snapped at people and I was like, why would I do that? You know, like, why did I feel so backed in a corner? And especially when it's something as long-term and something that takes as much time and effort and focus as typing, printing, like putting it in a bag, taping it, stealing your stuff, buying goods, buying oil, deciding to ruin it and leave it out there. Like, that is so extra. That's just wild.
Yeah, that's a good story for the kids to, I guess, learn what not to do, I guess.
Right.
But reaction is a good example. For people listening out there, don't overreact. Just if somebody harassing you, call it in, you know.
Yeah. And I feel like if he thought you were putting out like an illegal amount of bait or something like that, he would have just reported you. You know, he wouldn't go to all these lengths. So I don't think you're doing anything wrong in this case. I think he was just pissed off and frustrated. He probably wasn't killing what he wanted to, and you know, that's no excuse. And I'll say even further, another lesson to take from this is what you did was right. Like, these people should not be in our woods. These people should not be, you know, imagine if he threatened a first-time hunter like that. Like, the kid has no idea what he's doing or what the ins and outs of hunting are, and the kid borderline receives a death threat, gets his stuff stolen that he saved up all year to afford. Like, you know, that's going to ruin someone's opinion of hunting. That person's never going to go out again. You know, and good on you for going out, but even better that you backed out. You did the right thing. You reported them. I mean, those people should not be in the woods, and really didn't retaliate. You know, there's a lot of guys that are like, all right, I'm going to get this guy back, right? I'm going to steal his stuff, or, you know, ruin his bait pile, or you know, take a crap on his stand, you know, like. But
the thought crossed my mind, but I didn't.
You're only human. It's got to cross your mind at least. But you know, you're in the outdoors. Everyone's got a weapon when they're out hunting. You don't know if that guy is tempted to use it. You don't know if he's got a pistol. You don't know if he's got a knife and he's going to come talk to you in a parking lot, seem all nice, and then you did something to retaliate and he stabs you. Like, I was talking to Joe Miles on this podcast the other day, and he had some guy basically forearm shove him in the back of the head on an airplane, and he was hunting in a different country, and Joe caught up to him in the terminal and like punched him or something, like retaliated. What? Well, this guy, Joe had all tripped. All right, it's a long story, but Joe had been threatened by the government and like a bunch of other stuff, all trip on this hunting trip. I think it was Turkey. And he finally gets back to the airport, and he's got a 5-pound bucket of shit he can deal with, and he's at 4.999 pounds. And then this guy doesn't even know, sees that he's a hunter, he's wearing camo, and elbows him in the back of the head. Like, really bad thing. As he's going to like grab his overhead luggage, he just chucks him in the back of the head, And like, that's super messed up. But Joe's in another country, and he's pissed off. He's had his limit. He's at over 5 pounds of crap in this bucket now, and he goes and like socks a guy in the terminal, and I can't blame his reaction and for the stuff he went through. That's bad. But I told him. I even told him on the podcast. I was like, dude, you don't know if that guy's got a gun. This is a different country, and this is, I believe, this was at a time that TSA isn't like what it is now. And you don't know if he's going to wait outside for you with a van of his buddies, and so there's like, you never know nowadays. Like I've wrestled my entire life. I've practiced jiu-jitsu occasionally. I'm not avid or anything like that, but I love it. And I would think I'd be pretty good at defending myself, compared to the average person. And I would never, ever pick a fight, no matter what someone looked like. And I mean, you don't know who they're going to contact. You don't know where they're going to go to, what they got in their truck, what they got in their pocket. Like, it's just not worth it. Be the bigger man and go home and see your family. And I feel like not even thinking about that, you made the right decision in this case.
Yeah. There's that old saying, they say, pick your battles. I mean, that's really
absolutely.
And matter of fact, after that happened, I went and got my concealed carry and a pistol.
Yeah, so that's a good idea. Yeah, I need to get a CCW, but I got my license, so I need a good EDC on me, just for protection. I mean, every day the Waukesha area is looking more like Milwaukee. In that there's more crime. You see a lot more police around because they need to be.
Yeah.
Still a beautiful area. Still not nearly as bad as plenty of areas in the U.S., but we're hunters too. We're out in the wild. We got to defend ourselves every time. Every time something might go awry, and I do a lot of trips out west, and I'm thinking, I have the license. Why don't I just get some? The answer is I can't afford it, but I really should, and I don't think it's really a bad idea for you to be trained in it and be able to use it. If push comes to shove.
Yeah, it's not. Honestly, it's not that hard to get in Michigan. I don't know what Wisconsin is for their gun laws, but
if you have in Wisconsin, if you have a hunter's safety license, you can have a concealed carry license. They don't even have you take a class. You actually go through using all those weapons in your own hunter safety as well, and the safety of it, and discharging them. Like if you have a revolver, like uncocking the hammer and doing that safely and everything like that, unloading, reloading, all those things they talk about, and they talk about safety and stuff like that with those. But it would be nice if they had a course, because that's super, super beneficial. I just have taken the courses. I haven't taken the courses yet, actually. I've had a friend that's encouraged me to, but I haven't been able to get time in for it. But before I get a weapon, I'm actually going to take a course as well. I've shot with a few LEO, law enforcement officers, chief of police, ex-chief of police in Brown Deer, shot with some people that are veterans and stuff like that. So I've got good practice, but I think that's really important to really get some experience with it. Whether you want to carry or not, I think it's important to be able to know how to use it and know what the threat is if someone poses a threat with one of those weapons.
Yeah, I took a course. I can't remember how much it was. I want to say 300, but I think it was more than that. But
gotcha.
But that was a while ago. That was 10 years ago, maybe.
I see. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I guess good takeaways for the listeners. We've listed them, but again, if you're in this situation and you are the guy that feels like you're getting encroached on public land, obviously take it easy. Try to talk to the guy. Don't get pissed off. Think about it for a while. You don't know who's the person in there. You don't know why they're there. You don't know how they're going to retaliate to your anger. Just let it go. There's public land elsewhere, and if there's not, it's not worth your life. On top of it, if you're the guy getting threatened, let it go. You don't know what this guy's going through. You don't know if he's going to wake up and regret it. You don't know what he might decide to do if you retaliate to him getting pissed off. It's really not worth it. There's plenty of deer in the U.S. While you may not have as much access as someone in Wisconsin or Michigan does, it's definitely not worth your life. No deer is worth your life. And no deer is even worth 10 minutes of your anger, in my opinion.
Right. People just got to remember it's public land, and remember what public.
Right. We're all paying for the land.
Yeah, and we all get to use it, and that's the thing. We gotta just get along. And that DNR officer just shook his head. He's like, "I can't people just get along?" And I'm like, "Yeah,
right.
I know. I agree."
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
it happens.
Right. Shit happens, and we just gotta let it go. But yeah, I mean, Tom, that was a great story. It was a great lessons to take away from that from everyone. Tell us a little bit more about your YouTube channel, The Hunting Factor, what you've been doing on there.
Right now I've got, I think, 38 videos, including the shorts.
Mm-hmm.
Got 222 followers, so it's growing. I've been doing it for 8-9 months. Most of my stuff it's revolved around whitetails, and bow hunting is a passion of mine. So, and I just started it because of the passion, and that way I can show my friends and family exactly, because I tell them my stories, but they don't really grasp the whole thing. My dad loves it. Getting on the computer watching it. He's
That's
82,
awesome.
so, and he can't hunt no more. So, but anyways, it's fun. I like doing it. I like being creative with it, putting those things together. I mean, I learned a lot, made a lot of mistakes. Like, I just bought a 4K camera and realized that I might have to get another computer, because as soon as I put that on the computer, here goes my memory. I'm like, wow, man, that sucker just sucked the memory out of this.
Yeah.
But
I'll show you some drives that I use. I have a couple 1 and 2 terabyte drives. It's a little bit slower than working off of a lot of memory, and I'll show you an editing tip too for that. But yeah, I mean, good for you for investing in a passion. And I mean, I started this so I could show family what I was up to, and show my roommate at the time, his family that was in Indiana. We'd show them what we were up to in college, and honestly, it's blossomed. But my advice to everyone, and I've said this, if you've met me at shows and you've asked me about filming at all, you've heard the same response, and it's that do it to the extent that you love it. Like, don't ever make it more work than your passion is. Remain passionate about it, and if you get sick of it, just give it a break. Give it some time off. I've done a lot more podcasting this summer. I've done a lot less producing videos, and I dealt with the woes of trying to change softwares, and I found myself really getting sick of it. So I gave myself a little bit of break on editing videos. I've still done a lot of the work, but I reduced my volume a little bit, and I'm really excited for this season, and I think I'm going to be producing better content than ever. And, to my point, people like you that are doing it because they love it and they're doing it for the right reasons, that's my favorite content to watch. It's the most organic, natural, and it's the most relatable stuff for me.
Yeah, that, especially my turkey hunt, because I wasn't expecting I was going to get one, and I hadn't done it for a long time. I was kind of, a long time ago, I got kind of discouraged with it, and I'm not doing it no more. And then I didn't do it for a long time, and then I started filming, and I thought, you know what? Since I'm filming, I might as well get a tag. And my buddy Eric and I went, and then he, we both had the same hunt, so I told him I didn't want to take my hunting take your hunting time away from you, so we split off, and I ended up getting a bird with an 8-inch beard.
Yeah,
which to me was super exciting. I missed the shot on film, but it was awesome. I'm definitely hooked on turkey hunting, which it does cut into my scouting in the spring, but it's to me, it's pretty exciting.
Yeah, it's a good break.
Not as exciting as getting a big whitetail, but
Right.
you know,
Yeah, I absolutely agree. It's a
Yeah.
good break. It's a good thing to stop the burnout from whitetails for sure for a lot of guys.
and you can kind of scout a little bit as you're when it's slow turkey hunting. You do some deer scouting. That's what I do.
Yeah, me and Clint joke about that a lot. We actually just talked the other day, and we were saying like, yeah, you know, when I got a turkey tag in my pocket, it pretty much just turns into, oh, there's a track, and then there's a rub,
Yep.
and oh, now we're scouting. Like it's just, you know, I was trying to be a little more dedicated to it this year. But yeah, that's the way it usually ends up being, man. We're all pretty obsessed with whitetails.
Are you going to Nebraska again this year? Or?
Yep. Yeah, I'm going to be going to Nebraska again this year. I'll be going to Ohio again as well, in Wisconsin, and I'm trying to keep that routine there for this season right here because I have kind of like 2 years ahead of that planned out already too, and I'm going to do some big changes. But yeah, I mean, I'll be out in Nebraska, starting fresh in some new areas, and I know Dan is going to hop right back on that spot where I glassed that really nice one last year, and I think he's like, you know, him and Eric are going to commit to that. So hopefully they kill that deer because that deer should be around upper 60s, low 70s this year. He looked gigantic as a 4-year-old last year, so it'd be really cool to see if they cash in on him. I guess, hey, maybe by the time this comes out, I don't know, we're in a delayed schedule. You'll have already found out if they shoot a giant. So,
When does that start?
When does Nebraska season start?
Yeah.
Nebraska season starts September 1. And this series, as I've been doing a big backlog of it, and I'm debuting it. Actually, the first episode's going to drop the Wednesday before the season opener in Nebraska. So we'll be rolling right into the season, and we got a bunch of episodes in the backlog here, and we'll be rolling through a whole bunch. So I don't know quite what order I'm going to do it. I might do it in the order I recorded, but I might switch things up a little bit just to make the episodes flow good. But yeah, either way, Tom, it's been great to have you on. Everyone go check out the Hunting Factor on YouTube. Really appreciate you coming on. This has been great.
Yeah, appreciate it, Jacob. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. And everyone, re-listen to those lessons from this story. And we're all sharing public land. It's called public for a reason. And just get out there and have some fun. Encourage your other hunters to do the same.
Yeah, that's what it's about, really. People just got to have fun.
Absolutely.
Thanks for tuning in to this week's podcast. The best way you can support the podcast is by sharing online and with your buddies at Deer Camp. Please follow us on Facebook and Instagram and leave us a 5-star review.